Good morning. Welcome to the pre-meeting of the Newark Municipal Council on Tuesday, May 20th. Council President, council members, we are on page 4 of the agenda, item 5, reports and recommendations of city officers, boards, and commissions.
Questions from the council? Hearing none, next item.
Public hearing, second reading, and final passage. 6P SFA is an ordinance granting a 30-year tax abatement to 317 Mulberry Street Urban Renewal Company LLC for a project to construct 24 market-rate residential rental units in the Central Ward.
And there's sponsors on this, Silva Gonzalez?
Yeah, yes.
Silva Gonzalez, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. President, if I may, this is a,
Councilman, yeah.
yeah, this is one of 5 projects by this developer. This one happened to be all market rate, but the others, there was one that was all affordable, and there's another one with 10 units that are affordable. So he's providing 30% instead of the 20% affordable housing.
Yes, thank you, Councilman. Anything else? All right, next item.
B is an ordinance granting a 17-year tax abatement to SPG 100 Frontage Road Urban Renewal LLC for a project to construct a warehouse distribution building.
Questions from the council? Hearing none, next item.
C is an ordinance to amend childhood lead poisoning to create the inspection of certain residential rental dwellings for lead-based paint hazards.
Questions from the council? Next item.
D is an ordinance granting a 30-year tax abatement to Robert Street Hotel Urban Renewal Incorporated. Council President, council members, this item will be deferred.
All right. Next item.
E is an ordinance granting a 30-year tax abatement to 449 Washington Street Urban Renewal Company LLC for a project to construct a new 5-story building with a total of 20 residential rental units, of which 10 will be market rate residential rental units and 10 will be affordable housing rental units, which shall be restricted to tenants at 60% of area median income, AMI, in the Central Ward. Council President, council members, due to advertising, the public hearing will actually be on June 4th.
All right, thank you. Next item.
Second reading and final passage, 6FA will be deferred.
All right. Next item.
Resolutions, 7R, A, and B are temporary emergency appropriations. A is to provide funds for the operating expenses, and B is for substance abuse and mental health services grant.
Questions from the council? Say.
Yeah, my same comment regarding the budget. Now we are approving more funds for June. We continue the process that we started in March, by which we were promised the budget by April. We are going to June. Hopefully, we will have it before the end of the year.
At some point, Mr. B.A. can step to the mic and make a comment if you'd like. You can do it later. Okay. You go ahead, Mr. B.A.
Good morning, Eric Pennington, Council President, to
Good morning.
Councilman Gonzalez. You're working diligently to get this budget through to you, and yeah, as soon as I can.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. VA.
All right, next item.
Items C and D are purchasing contracts. C is competitive contracting to provide the payroll services to the Newark Youth Employment Programs. And D is an extension of emergency contract for demolition.
Questions from the council? Hearing none, next item.
E through H are business administrator resolutions. E is a competitive contract for governmental consulting. F is for governmental consulting. G is application acceptance for Sustainable Jersey PSE&G Energy Efficiency Partnership to encourage Newark residents to participate in PSE&G's Energy Efficiency Initiative. And H is an application acceptance of grant funds for the Innovative Community Crisis Response Partnership Grant.
Questions from the council? Hearing none. Next item.
7R2A through C are private sales. A is new construction of a three-family home to rent out at market rate in the West Ward.
Is the developer present? Yes. For A, 7RTA. I'm sorry.
She was here at one point in time.
Yeah. Okay, next,
B is new construction of two three-family homes to sell at market rate in the South Ward.
Councilman.
Mr. Chair, I'm fine with this. Move it.
Next item.
C is new construction of a three-family home to rent at market rate in the North Ward.
Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, Mr. President, this is really for Deputy Mayor, is the justification of the price. I know it says the assessed value is 20,000. I don't believe that a lot in the ward, anywhere is going for $20,000. So, you know, I'm trying to figure out how do we justify these price points?
Yes, and Mr. President.
Yes, Councilman Gonzalez.
Yes, we were provided with some information regarding this, and the comparables to this are in the South Ward and the West Ward. So we should have comparables that are within the same area that the property is being sold, so that we can compare. That's the purpose. The purpose is to be able to compare the selling price with the properties that are being sold in the area. So if we are comparing this to Avon Avenue, there is no comparison in terms of, let's say, the square footage and the amount of money that is being charged per square foot. I oppose this sale. I believe that this is giving a home in that area is going to sell for close to $1 million, a three-family home, and we are giving this lot for 20-something thousand. I will not vote for that because I believe that the city of Newark is giving the property away, and that's not my philosophy in life.
Thank you, Councilman. Anything else from the council before I ask the Deputy Mayor? Deputy Mayor?
Good morning, Council President, council
morning.
members. Allison Ladd, Director of Economic and Housing Development. I did hear the council's questions, Council President. So as you know, for private sales, over the last 6 years, we've been increasing the price per square foot. Originally, I came in 2019 and the prices were $4 to $6 a square foot. Regularly, regardless of the type of development and regardless of affordability of any project and regardless of location within the city. Over the last couple years, we have been able to increase the prices to between $10 to $15 a square foot. So we really have been doubling and sometimes tripling the price per square foot for properties that we're selling in the city. In addition, for larger sites, as you know, we've been doing competitive solicitations for sites that have multiple contiguous lots or land next to one another. And those prices are more generally the appraised value or the assessed value. So we've seen that because the sites are larger. I'd say in closing, just on pricing, the reason for this is really, again, we've been increasing the prices. In the past, it would have been, $6, $8 a square foot, and now we're at $12. So we're really looking to redevelop land that's in the city and bring taxes revenue back to the city. And just one more point, I will say, I know this has been a conversation in council for some time. There is a mismatch between the assessments and the sales prices, partly due to the fact that our assessments are going through a reevaluation as we speak, and we all know that. So I would expect that over time, this would become more in sync with one another. Second question, I know there was a discussion about the sale price of the property once it's developed. I think that we don't know what a sale price will be in the future. I know that developers have projected prices, but all of us know that it's really subject to market conditions. And so again, we believe that the purpose of selling city-owned property is for development, is for creating housing opportunities, affordable housing, commercial development, industrial development that helps create jobs for Newark residents. And so that is the logic as to why we continue to bring these items to the municipal council.
Mr. President, if I may,
Councilman.
the developer in this transaction is someone that knows the market in the city of Newark. He's been in the city of Newark for a long time, and he knows that a lot in the North Ward would cost him at least $150,000 to $200,000. There's no doubt that that's a price that these lots are being sold for. You are mentioning providing affordable housing. This house is not going to be affordable to any employee of the city of Newark that is not, let's say, the mayor or any of the people at the highest salaries. These rents are going to be in the $2,000 to $3,000 rent. So I agree with you that we should be selling the properties in the city of Newark, but we have to I believe that we have the opportunity to sell these lands only once. We have to get the price that we can get, not simply give the property away.
Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, I just want to say that, I know the area well, and this particular lot, we deal with a lot of, legal dumping there. And, I agree with the councilman in the sense that, I think the property's probably worth a lot more than the 30-something thousand. I know the cost of construction and all the permitting that they require is, substantially higher than it was a few years ago. But I would like to see the property sold and developed because we deal with complaints all the time from neighbors about the dumping activity there, and it's been a lot there since I've been elected. So city may have taken ownership recently. I do. Did you propose this previously at the same sales price, or was it less? 'Cause I know this was on the agenda some months ago, and then it kind of disappeared, and now it's back again.
Council President, to Councilmember Ramos's question, I'd have to look. I don't recall off the top of my head, but I could look and let you know
I thought
today.
you were going to go back and have a conversation with the developer to see if we can get a little more money for the property. But I'm curious to see if it's the same price point that was recently on the agenda.
Sure, I'm happy to check that and let you know today. That's no problem. I will just also say, and again, I'm happy to talk with the BA about this, is that we work really hard to be consistent with our pricing. And I think that the council has seen that over the years, is that we work to be consistent so that it's not one price depending upon X or another price depending upon Y. So that's why I gave you the ranges, is that, again, about 5 to 6 years ago, we were doing $4 to $6 a square foot. Now we're doing, $12, $15 a square foot. So it is just consistency in some spaces. And so I just wanted you to have that as far as your own background as you're considering the item.
Thank you. Anything else from the council? All right, thank you. Next item.
Thanks.
D is the reading and adopting of the 2025 annual budget for the Partnership West Incorporated Business Improvement District. And the public hearing will be at tomorrow night's council meeting.
Thank you. Questions? Next item.
E is designating an area in need of redevelopment.
Questions from the council? Next item.
7R3 A and B are engineering resolutions. A is a professional services contract. The Newark Riverfront Pedestrian and Bicycle Access Concept Development Study, change order number 2.
Questions from the council? Hearing none. Next item.
B is amending grant acceptance resolution to request an extension from the New Jersey Department of Transportation to allow.
I'm sorry, Madam Clerk.
It's okay.
Can we go back to 7R3A? Just wanted to ask the reason for the 6-month extension. If we can have the Director of Engineering.
Good morning, Council President, Council
morning.
members. Dolores Martinez, with the Director of the Department of Engineering. So this project is underway and under design. If we need additional time, this is a connector for bikes from the Gibson and Central Avenue intersection down to the riverfront and over to the area of the Mulberry Commons. So we just need additional time to finalize the design.
Additional time to do what? I'm sorry, to finalize the plans, you were saying?
The design, yes.
Design, okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
B-
Madam Clerk, go
It's
back.
okay. B is an amending grant acceptance resolution to request an extension from the New Jersey Department of Transportation to allow the city additional time to award a contract for construction of the Morris Canal Bikeway project.
Questions from the council? Hearing none, next item.
7R4A and B are finance resolutions. A is the application to the local finance board for approval of a bond ordinance, Resilient Hope Project. And B is an application to the local finance board for approval of a bond ordinance for various capital improvements.
Any questions on 4A? All right, hearing none, next. 7R4B, Director, if you can come up and explain.
Good morning, Council President,
Morning.
council members. Benjamin Guzman, Acting Director of Finance. The resolution for 7R4B for various capital improvements, we are putting forth an application to the local finance board for a myriad of capital improvements throughout the city, which includes, the constructions of some facilities for public safety and the fire department and for fire training. It includes the costs for upgrades and maintenance to the city's internet infrastructure system and IT system, and also the construction of indoor recreational facilities, et cetera.
Any questions from the council? Yeah, there's a list in,
Can we have a list of the projects?
Absolutely, yeah, they are included in the ordinance as well, which will be coming later, but we could provide that list for you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else from the council? All right, next item.
7R5A and B are contracts with subrecipients to provide emergency shelter services. A is Newark Beth Israel Medical Center, and B is the Puerto Rican Organization for Community Education and Economic Development Incorporated.
Questions from the council? Hearing none, next item.
7R6A is settlement of civil litigation for executive session. And B is B through E are all professional services contracts in the law department. B is for workers' compensation. C is for special counsel. D is for labor and employment, and E is for labor and employment matters.
Any questions from the council on B through E? All right, hearing none, next item.
7R8A is a reappointment as a member of the Board of Adjustment, Julius Mumford, sponsored by Councilman Council.
Can we get a second?
I'll say.
Second by Councilman Ramos.
Duly noted. B is a ceremonial street designation for Paulette Jones, sponsored by Councilman Council.
Second? I'll second it.
Duly noted. C is recognizing and commending resolutions, and D is expressing profound sorrow and regret.
Questions or additions from the council? All right, hearing none, next item.
7R9A is appointment of special police officer.
Questions? Next item.
B is the 2025 Essex County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Can Can I ask
Councilman Gonzalez.
a question regarding the special police?
Let's see.
Is this a retired police officer? Is this a Newark resident?
I do not see anybody from,
Police department.
from public safety here today. Madam Clerk, the officer, is he retired from 709A, Special Police Officer? Is he a retired officer or?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Kenyatta Stewart, City of Newark Corporation Council. So I do not see anyone here from Public Safety. What I'll do is reach out to the director. They usually have a representative here. I think something else may be going on, and I'll get the details. I'll get back to you in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Ramos.
Yeah, I just want to note that I looked up the backup and I recognize the name, and they still live in Newark. They live right off of Second Avenue. I mean, I don't want to put the guy's address on the record.
That was,
But they're current.
I think it was a
that
former
was my-
firefighter, retired firefighter.
Oh, the former firefighter?
that was my concern.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, so the
Okay,
retirement
we're-
status is fine?
That's fine, yes.
Okay,
All right,
thank you.
we're good. Thank you, Corporation Council. All right, 709B.
B is the 2025 Essex County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Questions? None? Next item.
C through E are application acceptance of grant funds. C is to provide a system of emergency preparedness. D is funding for overtime to address violent crimes. And Council President, council members, this item will be amended on the floor to adjust the contract period that's supposed to end September 30th, 2025, not 2024.
Okay.
And E is funding for overtime to address violent crimes. Also, there will be an amendment on the floor to change the funding source or amend the funding source for the fiscal year of 2022 instead of 2021, as it's stated.
Questions from the council? All right, thank you.
7R11A is application acceptance of grant funds to provide meals to Newark children through the Sun Up Food Program.
Questions from the council? None? Next.
B is a memorandum of understanding with Visual Arts Center of New Jersey to provide biweekly art therapy sessions for families of individuals who are currently or formerly incarcerated.
Questions? Next item.
Communications. Item 8A is an ordinance granting a 25-year tax abatement to the Unity 12th Street Development Urban Renewal LLC for a project constructing a 4-story residential unit building consisting of 24 affordable housing residential units, of which at least 3 units shall be restricted to tenants up to 40% of area median income, and no more than 21 units shall be restricted to tenants up to 60% of area median income.
Questions from the council?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I
Councilman
want
Council.
to advance and adopt on first. I'm going to ask if we advance and adopt on first.
Second.
I'm sorry, you said for that one, you say a second one?
The first,
So just A,
8A in it, yeah. And I'm going to ask for 8B as well.
A and B. Okay, I thought I heard you say B. Okay. We'll keep the movers and the second. Councilwoman Scott Roundtree seconds both.
Yes, duly noted. B is an ordinance amending one-way streets by designating East Runyon Street between Elizabeth Avenue and Sherman Avenue as a one-way street. The same movers.
Yes, and mover second. In advance and adopt.
C is an ordinance providing for the construction of the Resilient Hope Project and appropriating $4,500,000 and providing for the issuance of $4,210,000 in bonds. Council President, council members, there's requests from Finance to advance and adopt this item on first reading.
Any questions from the council regarding this matter? All right, hearing none. Councilman Gonzalez.
Is this the $4.5 million, the same one that we saw before?
Good morning, Benjamin Guzman, the Acting Director of Finance. Councilman Gonzalez, yes, this is in relation to the resolution approving the local finance board application.
Okay.
This is in conjunction
Okay.
with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the next one is a companion piece to the previous one that you came up and spoke about, right?
Correct, yes, it is the companion piece, and in the ordinance itself, we do have a listing of the projects that will be covered under this bond ordinance. Just to briefly explain or describe, one of the projects is improvements for city buildings and properties, including, City Hall, renovations to locker rooms and Ironbound ice rink, installation of certain systems and improvements throughout city buildings. There is a project in here for the replacement of Central Avenue Bridge over the New Jersey Railroad train tracks. As I mentioned earlier, we have IT, peripheral equipment, and computer equipment in order to improve the city's IT infrastructure and security, as well as purchasing of some larger vehicles for the transport of said equipment, and also equipment and installation for radios and Special Operations Command for public safety. And there's more detailed information in the
Yes,
ordinance itself.
Councilman Gonzalez.
In order for these bonds to be tax exempt, they say all these items must be more than 5 years in life, I suppose.
In order for the bonding, there are certain exceptions, but any materials that are going to be bonded for under the Municipal Qualified Bond Act must be a minimum of a life expectancy of 5 years or greater.
Yes.
Anything that is under 5 years would not be permissible.
Bondable, yes.
Yeah, would not be bondable. Everything that we have included in here is bondable because it is over a minimum of 5-year life expectancy. Obviously, any larger constructions, we assure that the life expectancy is a longer period of time. Therefore, the average life expectancy of this ordinance is for a period of time that will allow the municipality to be able to bond for it for that period of time in order to maintain its debt service costs.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you.
You're welcome.
And 8D, I'm assuming that they also want that advanced and adopted.
Yes, 8D is also a request to advance and adopt.
Okay, thank you.
Item 10, miscellaneous. 10A is the raffle license. Council President, council members, we have 2 potential added starters. The first one is from the Department of Economic and Housing Development. The file number is 25-0744. Could someone explain to the
Is there
council?
someone here to explain this item?
Good morning. Randy
Morning.
Daniel, Legislative Coordinator for Economic and Housing Development. This particular item is an amendment to a tax abatement for Spruce Park Associates. They were granted a tax abatement back in 1983, and they also had a mortgage agreement with HUD. At this point in time, the project is 100% affordable, of course, with funding from HUD. And because their mortgage is about to be paid off, and it is due to expire on March the 31st, 2026, they also need to get an extension for their tax abatement to match so that they could keep the property at 100% affordable for their tenants.
And what is the address of the property?
There are several. 3-60 Spruce Street, 37 Spruce Street, 39-47 Spruce Street, 59-61 Spruce Street, and 55-57 Spruce Street.
So is there a name for the complex or for the development?
I don't have that information, but I can get it to you. I just have the name of the development.
Okay. Any, Councilman Gonzalez?
Is that an extension or is a renewal of the, let's say,
An extension.
they had what, 1983, you said?
Yes, sir.
So it's what, 42 years? They had what, 50?
I can get that information and get it back to you by the end of business day.
So we are extending, or we are, let's say, providing for an extension to, let's say, to the completion of that tax abatement, not extending the tax abatement beyond the 50 years or whatever it was.
Correct.
Okay.
Any questions from the council? All right, seeing none, next, or hearing none.
The next added starter is for the Department of Recreation, and it's item 25-0765. Someone explain to the council.
Director Redding?
Great morning, Council President and distinguished council members. Donnell Redding,
Good morning.
Director of Recreation, Culture Affairs, and Senior Services. Yes, that particular resolution, we always do a scope of service out of my office, actually, to get the pool cleaning services, because actually we are opening up early this year, like we did last year, and that date is May 30th. Unfortunately, when we did our scope of services, went over the threshold. So since it went over the threshold, we had to send it to purchasing, which delayed the process. So in order to not delay the process even further, that's why we recommended an added starter.
So this is a resolution to go out to bid for the for pool services or to award?
To award, which our pool early openings is May 30th.
As for the cleaning services,
That's exactly.
Councilor?
This was submitted to a bid, to the bidding process because it went beyond the.
Absolutely.
So you are awarding to the winner of that bid process.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, hearing none. Thank you.
Council President, council members, that concludes the agenda. Public comment?
Yeah.
We are now in the 30-minute public comment portion of this meeting, where each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. Please approach the podium and direct your comments to the council. Is there anyone wishing to address the council?
Deborah Salters. So in this election season, I've been hearing a lot of better to go with the devil you know than the devil you don't. Now, again, I gave you the history on that before. That's an Irish proverb from 1539 that has, I believe it's 1539. Yeah, 1529, that has nothing to do with us. So stop adopting phrases that have nothing to do with us. That's number one. And if you know the person is the devil, what you voting for him for? Make that make sense. Why go with the devil at all, right? So it's time for us to make decisions based on what is going to benefit us. In Genesis 2, the serpent rolled up, Genesis 3, he rolled up on Eve after God gave the commandment to the man. You have free range of everything in this garden. Just don't touch the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So, you know, he gave the commandment to the man. Eve was there, but what does the serpent do in chapter 3? He rolls up on Eve. Well, did God really say that? And she knew what the truth was. But see, when you listen to the devil and you know what the truth is, you get beguiled, meaning slicked out of your spot, knocked off your square, tricked out of your position, right? If you know what the truth is, why are you going to allow somebody to make you go along to get along and then get shot down out of your position? Because that's exactly what he did. When you look up the definitions in the concordance, because it's not the same as a regular dictionary, you will see exactly what is being said there. And the point of this is, again, make your own decisions, because the decision you make may cost you your life. Read the facts for yourself. Stop being beguiled or tricked. And here's the point. If the serpent himself can walk up to somebody that was dealing with the true and living God, one-on-one, knew his voice, walked in the cool of the day with him, but they can be beguiled or tricked or slicked out of their position by what my grandmother would call a silver-tongued devil, what you think gonna happen to you? How is that going to benefit you? Proverbs tells us that the blessings of the Lord make rich and add no sorrow. And a lot of you are upset in the positions that you work, and this is why the people can't get good character and services because of what you had to do to get the job and what you have to do to keep the job. But when God's blessings bless you, you can be kind to others. You don't have to cancel them out. You don't have to be angry and nasty to them. So I'm saying to you, the position that you're in, how did you get there? Why are you there? Why are you staying there? And are you a benefit to those people who need you in the city of Newark?
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Good morning, George Tillman Jr.
Good morning.
I had the clerk give you a copy of the agenda from the Tax Abatement Committee meeting on May 14th, 2025. If you turn to the second page, you will see an application there for New Community Homes Development LP for a $78 million development to be constructed in the Central Ward. I sent you an email, Councilman Crump, discussing the abatement process that occurred, that was discussed in that hearing. I also sent you an email, Councilman Gonzalez, discussing the list of the abatements. Those who aren't aware, I sent the email with all the council people involved in this email so that you'll understand this process of this abatement. So if you understand the history of what's been going on with New Community Corporation, the council members have been engaged with over the years trying to get things done with New Community Corporation with those senior buildings. There's been complaints, numerous complaints from the tenant association about those buildings, and there has been no resolution from New Community Corporation. So when I first got this email from the invitation for this tax abatement committee meeting, I reached out to the tenants of New Community Building 140, 180, and 265. And they came in and they testified to the deplorable conditions that were in New Community and the fact that they had been meeting with management over the years and management had not done anything about it. Also, Councilwoman Roundtree also testified to the fact that she had been engaged in trying to get things with New Community done and has not been successful. You also have been up there to that building. Councilman Council has also been up there to that building without any resolution. So when we get opportunities like this, when you get a tax abatement before our committee with a developer who already has existing properties in this city and is running it like a slumlord, there's no way that we should approve any tax abatement until those abatements are done. And so I sent you the email of the list of the abatements that we sat down with the Tenant Association President, Ramona Derrick from 140, the Tenant Association President, Ms. Darlene Davis from Building 180, and a representative from 265 Morris Avenue. So I just ask that you continue to watch this process as it unfolds. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker. Good morning. You can pull the mic down so we can hear.
My name is Moada. I live in Lake Street, and I'm here for an issue. With my other neighbor, they come and talked about it. The issue is the parking in Lake Street. We have many issues with the parking there, but the main issue is safety. It is very dangerous for us to pull out of our driveway because the cars drive in a speed of higher than 35 miles per hour. And I know the city, they came and they painted to slow down the traffic, and that did zero. Nothing has slowed down the cars. I myself, I had an accident coming out of my driveway, and it was a really bad accident. And luckily, that day, my children were not in the car. It was a day off of a school. The whole backside of my car was totaled, and it cost me about $37,000. Now, the issue to be resolved is simple: no parking there. There is other issue. There is disposal of trash. There is noise. There is fight at nighttime. This is bring an invitable, environment for us to sleep at nighttime. And just the parking coming out of the driveway is a big safety issue. Why do we put a stop sign? For safety. Why do we put red light? It's for safety. And at this point, coming out of a driveway is like going from a driveway with a 0 second straight to the highway. And people intentionally, they speed up when they see a car coming out of the driveway. I don't know why, the intention of just hitting you, you know? And again, my children were not in the car that day. If they were, they would be hurt very bad. I myself had still shoulder pain from that accident. And guess what? My insurance went up for my car. I lost my car. I had to buy a new car. Another thing, my neighbor next door, she's over 70 years old, and her husband just turned 90 this week, and they cannot see. And sometimes she have to call me, come on, you have to take me out of my driveway. And I go. And sometimes she leave at 5, 6 a.m. And you cannot see. You have to take a guess sometimes to come out of the driveway. I do have a car with a camera, but it's not enough. The vision, you can't catch it all the way to the light. People are speeding. And I know you guys, sometimes you send a police car to manage the traffic. It doesn't work. If they're there for 2 hours, what about the rest of the 22 hours? So the issue here is safety. The other issue, they dispose the trash, noise, fight. I have video of people fighting in my street because those people just, you don't live there. So this is the issue. And the only solution, I know it can be, oh, we're going to bring a patrol or we're going to do that. No, the only solution would be no parking or parking by permit for people that, and each one of us who live there, we do have a driveway. So it's enough of us. I live there, and my son is turning 16 this summer, and he's about to drive. So I'll be very worried for him to come out of the driveway. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Good morning.
Can we get your address? I'm sorry. Your address, where you're saying what's your address? What part of Lake Street?
413 Lake Street.
Say again?
417 Lake Street.
4017.
417.
4017.
417.
417. All right. Thank you.
Good morning, council.
Good morning.
I am the spouse of my lady that just came up. We have been here many times before speaking about this issue. On December 19, 2018, there was an amended section 23, column 5-14E of Newark Municipal Code designating parking by permit only on Rich Street between 2nd and Abington. Now, I have spoken with all of my neighbors. I have 90% of the signatures on my block. Now, if we are to push forward with residential parking on our block, we are only going to push the problem to our neighbors behind on Highland, on Parker, and on Clifton. Now, understandably, in the ordinance, Rich Street is already covered. So I believe that we need a zone districting so that we have residential parking from 2nd to Abington to allow us to have nice homes like our Honorable Councilman Gonzalez, right? We live on the same street and it's very nice where you live. But unfortunately, as you know, we are very close to 2nd Avenue. Councilman Ramos fought to have residential parking permits on Bloomfield to allow the people who reside on the monthly apartments to park there. Many of the residents there have multiple cars. They're allowed to, but they come and dump their vehicles on our side. And as my wife just spoke, they throw trash outside. We're constantly picking up their trash. They leave the cars there. They're blocking our driveways. All of our neighbors are having issues. The accident she had, it affected us financially. And as she said, my son is about to start driving, and it's a concern for us. The next meeting that I'll come here, I will come with the signature of the entire zone. And I would like to present it to the council and speak with my Norfolk councilman at large, so that we could find a solution for our zone. It's become very dangerous. This is a safety concern. As my wife mentioned, I have to mention it. Perhaps the other streets or where you live, you don't have this issue. But Lake Street, being that it's right in front of the park, vehicles speed up. They go very fast. And if we come out, we cannot see. This is always a recipe for an accident. And We're trying to avoid that. We already lost a vehicle. Our neighbors have also lost vehicles. And this is just a matter of safety at this moment. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comments. Any other speakers?
Mr. President, if I may.
Let's close out. Any other speakers? And then we'll come back.
It's a,
Okay.
Good morning, council people.
Good morning.
My name is Derek Lampley. I reside at 2 Colgate Drive in Newark, New Jersey, of course. I am currently the president of Society Hill Phase 2, which is a condominium association location. As you all may be aware, we had a pandemic. Everybody's aware of that, which financially hit everyone. As a condominium association, we also was hit with financially with a structural act that require us to pay more money to our savings, which is called the reserves. With that being said, we have in place the Kelly Act, which we would like to meet as a board with council people regarding this Kelly Act, which was formulated in 1993. This act is also formed to help financially secure us as an association. So what we want to do, if possible, before May 30th, to meet with you guys to discuss this Kelly Act in order to assist this association. So once again, my name is Derek Lampley, 2 Colgate Drive. I believe you have my phone number, Councilman Trump, and my email address. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Michelle.
Can you speak into the mic? I can't hear you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Michelle Scantleberry, and I also live in Society Hill, Phase 2. I live at 34 Seton Hall Drive, and I am the vice president of the board. As the president said, the Municipal Services Act is there to help our communities with garbage removal, with snow removal. And as he said before, we do have a deficit because of COVID and the pandemic, as well as the reserve study that has been placed, that has placed a burden on all of the phases or the private, I shouldn't say private, the associations, so that, you know, for roofing projects, for repair of roadways, for repair of the crumbling systems that are in the associations that have been here. Phase 2 has been present in Newark, I believe, since 1994. So we have a number of things that have to be fixed, so that we would really like the council to consider this Municipal Services Act that has been put in place, again, as Derek said, since 1993, to help our association to become, you know, or actually to help us repair what needs to be repaired, and to also help us maintain the property.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you for the time.
Any other speakers?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Recovering some laryngitis. So I also reside.
I can't really hear you. Speak up.
I'm recovering from laryngitis. I'm
sorry. Okay, that's why. All right.
Yes. So my name is Jamila Duncan. I also reside at Society Hill, and I am also on the board, and I am the treasurer of the association. And to second my neighbors, it's been a complete hardship on the residents. And this is something that other municipalities are doing for their residents. And we pay a great deal of money for services that our other neighbors outside of the community already have taken care of because they pay their taxes. But we also pay taxes, and these are things that we are not afforded. And people don't know how much it costs to do trash removal. to pay for lighting the area, our water, our roadways, and these are big capital projects. And as you know, the community has been around for over 30-something years. We are no longer in an abatement, and a lot of our residents are seniors, and they're looking to us to solve some of their financial hardships, but it's really hard when the cost of goods are going up and services. So we're just asking for the city to also help us and meet us, as we are also tax-paying citizens. We pay our property taxes, and it's a beautiful community that is across from the courthouse. So it's a lot of attraction and popularity, but a lot of people don't know the amount of money that it costs to maintain that. And we're at the point now where a lot of our structures are at the point where it does need to be replaced. So as my neighbor said, the Structural Integrity Act, because it is to protect communities across the state from having very terrible, tragic accidents as we've seen in Florida, we have to complete these projects. Our roofs, our facades, our roadways, and all the infrastructure that keep us safe as citizens. So we just would like your help, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker. Any other speakers? Seeing none, public speaking is now closed. Councilman Ramos first.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank the couple that came out from Lake Street to speak about some of the traffic safety issues that, we've discussed here at the meeting. I would ask through your chair and the clerk, I know we don't have a representative from police here, but if we can, I sent the chief an email in anticipation of tomorrow's meeting, to see if in the meantime, until we look at this residential parking pilot as a possibility to kind of step up, enforcement, parking right off of Second Avenue. We do have vehicles that park very close to, the homeowners' driveways, and that does obstruct the views of residents who are trying to back out of their driveways. And I'm hopeful that more of the tenants from the apartment buildings there take advantage of the opportunity that we were able to work out for them to park on Bloomfield Avenue to alleviate some of the concerns. I would also ask through your chair, we have the engineer here, the director of engineering, to see if they can look at some possible traffic calming measures on Lake Street. I had the opportunity to walk that area with Mr. Savage from engineering some time ago, and they did put up the digital speed signs, but I think there are probably other things that they can come up with to help us with the speeding issue there. And I would also ask through your chair and the clerk to see if the police can deploy the radar unit to Lake Street. I know we occasionally get support from the sheriff's department as far as enforcement, but years ago, that was one of the major spots for the Newark Police radar person was Lake Street. So we would ask if they can reassign that officer, if they have an officer assigned to doing radar in the second precinct.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Scott.
Yes, I just want to address the comments made regarding new community. When he said I testified to the fact that they weren't doing or abating issues, when myself, along with James Laney, just for the record, not James Laney, I'm sorry, Kenny Watkins, and former Councilwoman Monica McIver were attending those community meetings to abate problems. Some of those problems were definitely abated because we followed up and we had a track record. We ran follow-ups for those meetings. Now, they have new things that have been brought to our attention in that meeting that you were, and they are, according to the paper trails that we're receiving, abating them. We are going to follow up to make sure those issues that were brought to our attention are abated, but I don't want to go back and talk about what happened 3 years ago or 4 years ago with meetings that I definitely attended. We do attend their community meetings, and we do follow up with Mr. Camerari and those who were in power before Simone became the CEO, and the leadership before her, and the current leadership, which is Simone, the CEO. So we are definitely following up on those issues. But those previous issues where they had some really serious concerns about dumpsters and living conditions of the quality of life, they were addressed, and the majority of them back then were abated. As I stated for the record, these new found issues that have been brought to our attention, we are dealing with them almost on a daily basis, and they are communicating with our office. I believe Councilman Crump and myself have received some emails from New Community as to what they're doing to abate them, and we are going to hold them accountable and follow up to make sure from the residents that these things have been abated, Mr. Tillman. Thank you so very much, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Gonzalez is in.
Yes, I'm a witness to what my neighbors from 417 indicated. Let's say I have the same issues that they have in terms of getting out of my driveways. Sometimes it's almost impossible. If you try to do that 7:30 to 8 o'clock in the morning, it's almost impossible to get out. And the speeding is something that I have complained here many times. And even though we have the light indicating, they say that your mileage when you drive by, people are doing 40, 50, 60 miles an hour on Lake Street, and we have something that says you're doing 60 miles an hour, but there is nothing happening to them if they're doing 100 miles an hour. So doesn't matter the speed that you are doing if there is no consequences to it. I believe that we need to have, as mentioned by Councilman Ramos, the radar operator of the Northward station there permanently so that they can pay their salaries by the tickets that they issue there on Lake Street if they were there every day. And every day is the same people doing the same thing. So I believe that we have to send a message. We have to enforce the law. We have to make sure that people comply with the statutes of the city. My neighbors, let's say, we will try to do as much as we can because we are affected as you are with the conditions there.
Thank you, Councilman Gonzalez. Councilman Silva.
Yeah, I think the gentleman who came up to speak made a good point. When you do permit parking in one street, the area around you is going to end up suffering. So I think the BA agrees in doing sections at a time. I did a section in the East Ward, a whole section. Unfortunately, the signs aren't posted yet, so I can't move on to the next section. But I believe doing one street here, one street there doesn't work. So, I mean, it's Councilman Ramos and Councilman Gonzalez, Councilman Quintana's area. I think doing sections at a time would be a lot better than just doing one street at a time. So that's something that we should look into. The city keeps growing every day. People leaving their cars parked in the city, no matter where it's at, to get into a construction van, to get into a work van, to get to carpool with somebody, and they leave their cars on the street or their vans on the street. And so with the city growing the way it is, I believe our residents deserve, when they get home from work, to find a parking spot close to their home in a reasonable distance from their home. And so this is definitely something that needs to be worked on.
Thank you, Councilman Silva. Councilman Gonzalez again.
I just want to, let's say, I know that we deferred their lease agreement for the shelter, but I just wanted to ask a question regarding the commitment of funds that this transaction would require. Let's say we are renting a first term of 15 years and two options to renew the lease. One is for 10 years and the other is for 7. If we were to exercise the two options on this lease, we would be paying $129,758,382.14 over the 32 years of the lease. My concern is, why don't we bond and buy a building instead of paying rent to somebody for a building that is not worth that kind of money. I believe that if we were to buy a building in that capacity, we can buy that building for maybe 25, $30 million and not pay 129 million, almost $130 million for it. So I believe that we should reconsider this lease. I don't know who is benefiting from this transaction, but it's something that we have to be careful, because I don't know if the city is doing this because we don't have the capacity to bond, but this is a debt that the city would incur for the next 32 years.
Thank you, Councilman Gonzalez. Before we get to anything from the administration, just with regards to Society Hill, what I'd like to do is and I appreciate the leadership coming up and speaking today. What I would like to do is maybe have a meeting next week with the leadership from Society Hill. But before we do that, I think it would be good if, and I know Mr. Lampley has sent me information previously, but a list of the concerns, a total list, so that we can research and be prepared to respond prior to the meeting. I would appreciate Corporation Counsel or somebody from his office included on that email, but also included in the meeting. And if we have the meeting with the leadership, then maybe we could have it here in City Hall in our conference room. So let's first, and I hate to say, I forgot your name, Vice President. If you can relay the message, I'll also email him back, Mr. Lampley, and if he can get us a full list of everything, or even yourself, of the concerns, preferably by tomorrow, then we can schedule a meeting for next week at some point here at City Hall. All right? All right, great. Anything from the administration? Okay.
Good morning, Eric Pennington, Business Administrator. You actually addressed just now with Society Hill. I'm not clear on what the ask is, and so I think a meeting would be good to address that. If they're no longer tax abated, there's certainly things that the city has some responsibility to assume, so we'll take a look at that and see. But I'm not clear about the infrastructure of the buildings themselves that they're asking for the city to do. So a meeting would be helpful in that regard.
That's why I wanted him to give us a list of all the issues, so that we can really parse it out and figure out which one.
That would definitely be helpful. And with respect to a comment from a resident about parking on Lake Street and difficulty getting out, in Councilman Silva's comments, I do agree that rather than looking at street by street permit parking, it's much better to look at zone parking, because as the resident indicated, a single street where there are other adjoining streets that may also have parking issues, if they get parking permit, it's going to push that problem off to an adjacent street. In this case, Lake Street to Highland Street to Parker up to Ridge to Clifton. It needs to be looked at in a more global way. We need to get engineering involved in that process and look at it. And also to Councilman Silva's point with respect to the zone parking in the East Ward, we got to get the signs up. So I don't know exactly where that stands. So I will take that as a directive to me to follow up on that and get that taken care of. And with respect to not having anybody here from public safety today, I've reached out to the director. We'll make sure somebody is here for tomorrow's meeting, and we'll have a representative at the pre-meetings going forward. And apologize for not having anybody here. I don't know if there were any other, I think Councilman Gonzalez, with respect to your request on the deferred item, one of the reasons why that project is deferred is for us to look at the point that you raised. And the city is not a particularly good landlord, so bonding to build a building that then we would have to manage and run, I'm not sure that's the best answer, but certainly it is something that we need to look at and see if perhaps we bond the building and then have an RFQ to find a manager of the building, and then the manager of the facility, and then manager for the homelessness and transitional housing. So those are some of the things we're looking at. And that's one of the reasons for deferring it. We've deferred it till next month, and we likely will have to defer it again because we are in the middle of looking at those questions that you have raised.
Appreciate it. I believe, I am not suggesting that we should manage the shelter. That would be a good idea that we can hire someone to do the administration of the shelter.
Points are well taken. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you, Mr. BA.
Sure.
Anything else from the?
I was just going to say, the mayor has been, we, with the mayor, have been looking at that very issue. I don't know if you already spoke to him or not, but that's.
No, I
one of the
haven't.
reasons why- Okay. Well, I guess you and he are on the same page then, so we're looking at something now, so. Makes sense. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. BA. So we got a quick executive session. I need all 5 of you.
Yes.
Motion for executive session.
Council, Gonzalez,
Yes.
Kelly, Quintana, Ramos are absent. Scott Roundtree.
Yes.
Silva.
Yes.
President Crump.
Yes.